What up, though? The South Carolina Gazette and Country Journal, Charleston, South Carolina, Tuesday, December 29th, 1772. This is from the South Carolina Gazette newspaper and County Journal, Charleston, South Carolina, Tuesday, December 29th, 1772. This article says 300 pounds reward. St. Stephen's Parish, September 15th, 1772. Runaway. From the subscriber. About 15 months since, two Negro fellows and a wench, Will, George, and Sylvia. Will, about 25 years of age, 5 feet 8 inches high, of a yellowish complexion, or what you would say a yellow bone, is slim and a little knock-kneed, has his teeth filed, and his country marks in his face, and his country marks in his face, is a copper and rough carpenter by trade. So Will has a trade, meaning he knows how to do something. And it says he has his country marks in his face. Two Negro fellows and a wench is who they're looking for, or who has run away. Will, George, and Sylvia, no last name. George, about 23, about 20 years of age, 5 feet 5 inches high, of a dark complexion, is very artful. He has been used to attend horses. Sylvia is a likely young wench, about 5 feet 5 inches high, of a yellowish complexion, a yellow bone. She's a yellow bone, likely young wench. Now, I don't know what comes to your mind when you think of someone calling someone a female a wench. But as I can recall, when I was younger, I should say, people call females wenches or wench. I don't know if it meant the same thing that it means here. It was more, I don't want to say derogatory when I heard it used. I don't know if I ever used it, but I don't want to say derogatory because usually laughter came with it. And then usually the female you calling a wench, she'll call you something back as well. So it says she's a yellow bone wench. A reward of 150 pounds currency will be paid on delivery of the above Negro to the warden of the workhouse or at his plantation in St. Stephen's Parish. So this is 1772. And in 1772, what is termed as the United States, which it may make you think of 50 states or 50 countries, wasn't so in 1772. We're speaking of the 13 colonies era. Think more of the 13 colonies as opposed to 50 states or 50 50 soil portions drawn out and distinguished by lines on a map. That is not what we're speaking of here. We're speaking of closer to the 13 colonies. But something I want you to recognize in this article. Look at the illustration in the article. The illustration describes the runaways. Will, George, and Sylvia. You know, the yellow bones, the dark complexion George, and Sylvia, who they called a wench, who some of your people might have called females a wench when they were shorties. Look at the illustration that is describing these Negroes. What do we see? I tell you what we see. We see an Indian with the feather head dress, the feather waist kilt, and some sort of, I don't know, I'm thinking it's maybe a bow in the Indian's hand. You see it. It's a little blurry, but you see it. See, we ain't gonna settle for nothing but all the way. St. Louis Globe Democrat, St. Louis, Missouri, Tuesday, March 28th, 1893. March 28th, 1893, the St. Louis Globe Democrat, St. Louis, Missouri. Now remember, if you looking for a Negro, this illustration on this article right here is who they would be looking for. And guess what? They only gave the first name. So who looking for them? Who is the subscriber? Who put out the 300 pounds reward? Don't assume. St. Louis Globe Democrat newspaper, St. Louis, Missouri, Tuesday, March 28th, 1893. 1893. Molly Jones, the little Negro girl. Now remember when we looked at the last article and they put up an illustration on the article to let you know what you would be looking for when you was trying to, if you saw those Negroes, if the Amber Alert went out, you looking for that illustration. When you looking for these 3 Negroes. Now, let's move on here. 1893, St. Louis Globe Democrat newspaper, St. Louis, Missouri. Molly Jones. Molly Jones, the little Negro girl arrested for picking pockets, was found guilty and fined $100 and cost, in default of which she was committed to the House of Refuge. Molly Jones, the little Negro girl arrested for picking pockets, was found guilty and fined $100 and cost, in default of which she was committed to the House of Refuge. This is 1893. You know, Emancipation Proclamation happened not too long ago, 50 years before this, 40, 30, 40, 50 years before this. The so-called slavery ended. Work, employment ended for some people. But you wouldn't think that some shackled by the wrist and neck and ankles people would get down like this Molly Jones, the little Negro girl, remember, remember who is the Negro, who they calling as the Negro at this point. This illustration on the first article we read for the runaway, ran away from whatever they ran away from. But they said, if you find them, send them to the delivery, will be paid on delivery of the above Negro to the warden of the workhouse. So when they telling you that a Negro ran away, they showing you the illustration that an Indian ran away. Yes. And then we got Molly Jones, the little Negro girl arrested for picking pockets, was found guilty and fined $100 in cost, in default of which she was committed to the house of refuge. Let's shake it. The Boston Globe, Boston, Massachusetts, Saturday, August 28th, 1886. Saturday, August 28th, 1886, the Boston Globe, Boston, Massachusetts, Boston Globe newspaper, 1886. A little Negro girl arrested on suspicion. She is arraigned at Malden and put under $5,000 bail. Wilmington, Massachusetts, August 28th, the residents of this quiet town were thrown into a state of great excitement this morning when it was learned that an attempt had been made to poison several persons at the house of Miss Elizabeth Blanchard. The facts in the case, as near as they could be learned, are as follows. Mrs. Blanchard keeps a summer boarding house and during the present season has had 8 or 9 boarders, among whom were Judge Emmons and wife of East Boston and C.A. Littlefield of Boston. Mrs. Blanchard has a colored girl about 13 years of age to assist her in the house. Now, Miss Blanchard, they said Miss Blanchard has a colored girl about 13 years of age to assist her in the house. So the people who are named was Miss Blanchard, C.A. Littlefield is a boarder, Judge Emmons and his wife of East Boston. Never did they tell you their complexion or where they were from. So don't assume. This isn't my point for sharing this article with you. But what I want you to understand is don't assume. Let's stick to the words that are written or that are typed. Let's not assume. Let's go by what they're telling us before we come to our own conclusions. Miss Blanchard has a colored girl about 13 years of age to assist her in the house. Last Thursday evening, they didn't say that the little colored girl, 13 years old, didn't get paid. And just for all you people who thinking, oh, 13 years old, she working already. She employed already. When I was 13, I worked. When I was 9 or 10, I worked. I wasn't assisting someone like Miss Blanchard in a boarding house. I didn't have necessarily that cushy of a job. Last Thursday evening, the girl, whose name is Mary Davis, was told to prepare the tea for supper, which she did. I have some Davises in my family. Sidebar. Was told to prepare the tea for supper, which she did. 5 of 8 persons who sat down to supper drank of the tea and in a short time were taken violently sick. They were Judge Emmons and his wife, C.A. Littlefield, and the boarding mistress and her son Samuel. Dr. Buzzle of Wilmington was called in and, upon examination, stated that there were strong indications of arsenical poisoning. Some of the tea that was left was examined and found to contain arsenic. The reason for suspecting that the tea was poisoned was because 3 of the party who sat down to supper did not drink any of the tea and felt no ill effects from the food. As the colored girl had prepared the tea, she was asked what she put into it, but she claimed that she put nothing but the tea in the teapot. She said that she mixed some new tea that had just been purchased with the old tea that was left in the canister. She says she smelled of the tea and thought it smelled of tobacco. During Thursday night, the 5 persons who drank the tea suffered intense pain and vomited frequently during the night. Yesterday, Judge Emmons and his wife were feeling better, but the other 3 are still very sick, but are believed to be out of danger. Officer Swain of Wilmington and State Officer Rhodes worked upon the case yesterday and last night concluded to arrest the Davis girl, as there was every reason to believe she was the guilty person. So, Officer Swain of Wilmington and State Police Officer Rhodes arrested the shouty, the Davis girl, 13 years old. She was placed in the lockup at Wilmington last night and this morning was brought before the district court at Malden. The government was not ready to try the case and had it continued until next Thursday, bail being fixed at $5,000, in default of which she will spend the interval at the Cambridge jail. The alleged poisoner is about 13 years old, but is large for her age and appears to be quite intelligent. She says that her father lives in the South and that she had been working for Miss Blanchard about 4 months. She formerly lived in East Boston and Chelsea, and at one time worked for a Mr. Mitchell in Wareham, Massachusetts. She positively denies having any knowledge as to there being poison in the tea and says that she can't tell how it came there. So she got parents in the South, and she working for somebody in Massachusetts. Industrious 13-year-old. Ain't it interesting how all the coloreds and Negroes, properly American Indians, never let up, never stop, will never get used to the invasion, will never get used to foreign authorities telling them what they can and can't do. A lot of them will never acquiesce like you think they do. Every time you call your people slaves, every time you say your people was slaves brought over, I don't even want to talk about where you say they brought over from. We don't even have to take it that far. But when you say they slaves and you don't even know their name, you assume they bow down. But as we can see from this, the Tennessee in Nashville, Tennessee, Sunday, July 10th, 1892, July 10th, 1892, the Tennessee in Nashville, Tennessee, stolen silverware. Judge Bell will tomorrow try Georgie Barnes. Georgie Barnes, a little Negro girl arrested by detectives Pittman and Turner. Pittman and Turner are on the case on the charge of stealing silverware and tableware from Mrs. Hamburg on North Vine Street. Most of the articles were recovered. Judge Bell will tomorrow try Georgie Barnes, a little Negro girl. Stole some tableware. Or they said she did. Did she? You think she did? Bell Joy. This is Public Ledger, Memphis, Tennessee. We still in Tennessee. Public Ledger newspaper, Memphis, Tennessee. Thursday, January 12th, 1882. This is how the foreigners are communicating with one another through these newspapers. This is what I think. Anyway, this is what it seems. I'm glad they did, because we get to jump into the newspaper articles today. Clear up some of the mess. Public Ledger, Memphis, Tennessee newspaper, Thursday, January 12th, 1882. 1882. Where were your people in 1882? You should go find out. Don't be lazy. Belle Joy, the little Negro girl arrested yesterday for stealing a brace and handsaw and trying to pawn them, was sent before the grand jury. The tools were claimed yesterday by the owner. Belle Joy. You hear that name? Belle Joy. The little Negro girl arrested yesterday for stealing a brace and a handsaw. How many little Negro girls today do you know? First of all, we do know some little Negro girls, or properly little American Indian girls, who steal. Okay. But how many, how many is stealing a brace and a handsaw? Well, it was some people stealing stuff out of Home Depot not too long ago, right? But was they little Negro girls or little American Indian girls or grown-ups? You got a little girl right here stealing a brace and a handsaw and trying to pawn it in 1882. Supposedly, not too long ago, just came out of slavery, right? So what was slavery? Was it truly synonymous with employment? Working, laboring? Yeah, it's a whole big thing put in place. The Sedalia Weekly Bazoo, Sedalia, Missouri. Tuesday, July 19th, 1881. 1881, the Sedalia Weekly Bazoo newspaper, Sedalia, Missouri. July 19th, 1881. Miss Ford had a little Negro girl arrested yesterday, charging her with disturbing the peace. She was discharged as the prosecuting witness failed to appear against her. Right. Was it witness intimidation? Did the little Negro girl or little American Indian girl's people tell her, you better not go testify against my baby girl? Nashville Banner, Nashville, Tennessee newspaper, Friday, April 8th, 1892. A small fine. Georgia Gardner, the little Negro girl arrested yesterday on a charge of breaking into the store of Bedford Hughes, was fined $5 in the city court today. On account of the girl's extreme youth, Hughes declined to prosecute her in the criminal court. The Tennessee in Nashville, Tennessee, Friday, October 14th, 1898. It seems that the Negroes, y'all, or the American Indians properly, it seems like y'all been a problem. Y'all ain't never stopped being a problem. But who y'all a problem to? Foreigners. Think about it. If they weren't here, problem solved. Let's shake it. The Tennessee in Nashville, Tennessee, Friday, October 14th, 1898. Negro girls arrested. Hattie Patterson and Minnie Hunter. I have Pattersons and Hunters both in my bloodlines. Negro girls arrested. Hattie Patterson and Minnie Hunter. And they are near Tennessee. The Tennessee in Nashville, Tennessee, Friday, October 14th, 1898. The Tennessean newspaper, Negro girls arrested. Hattie Patterson and Minnie Hunter, little Negro girls, were arrested yesterday afternoon by Officer Summit on a charge of maintaining themselves unduly. For some time past, grain has been stolen from cars near the Nashville Elevator Company's building. The grain belonging to the company. Yesterday afternoon, Officer Summit, who was watching out for the thieves, came upon a party of girls taking wheat from a car and storing it in a sack. At the approach of the officer, the girls ran, and the two named were caught. They say the wheat was being stolen by the larger girls. The sack was taken to the police station. They tricked on the bigger girls. Semi-Weekly News, Waco, Texas, Friday, July 22nd, 1892. Semi-Weekly newspaper. Waco, Texas, Friday, July 22nd, 1892. Two little Negro girls were arrested last night at the instance of Captain T.A. Blair for robbing his peach orchard. They were, however, afterwards turned loose on account of their ages. Hattie Little and Mammy Wright are their names and are 8 and 10 years old, respectively. Again, we don't know if Captain T.A. Blair we don't know his complexion. We don't know his nationality. We don't know any of these things. But one thing we do know is that they arrested Hattie Little and Mammy Wright, 8 years old and 10 years old, for taking some peaches. Georgia peaches. They arrested them for taking some peaches. Oh, speaking of peaches, the Daily Memphis Avalanche newspaper, Memphis, Tennessee, Friday, May 25th, 1876. The Daily Memphis Avalanche newspaper, Memphis, Tennessee, 1876 is Friday night. Speaking of peaches, we already know. You don't got to tell me. Me too. All y'all know somebody named Peaches. I know. All right. Okay, we got that clear. Speaking of peaches, Peachy Ship, the little Negro girl who was arrested on the charge of assault and battery, was discharged by the recorder yesterday. The little Negro girl who was arrested on the charge of assault and battery. Damn. 1876. But y'all think every time you mention one of your people was in slavery, this who you talking about. You not really even understanding what slavery was or is, because you getting up and going to work in tomorrow, right? You going to work in the AM, right? For somebody else, for fiat currency. Yeah, I know. Forever. Taxes, all that stuff. Yeah, right, 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 right. We on the same page. We on the same page. Yeah, Shawty, Peach's ship, the little American Indian girl. They say little Negro girl, but we figured that out already. We passed that. The little Negro girl, properly American Indian girl, was arrested on the charge of assault and battery. Little girl, assault and battery. They let her go though. They discharged her though. I don't know what they did to her. I don't know if somebody came and got her. I don't know who arrested her. Okay. I don't know the people who arrested her. But one thing I do know is it's 1876, Friday night. 1876. Right? The Times Picayune, New Orleans, Louisiana, Wednesday, December 3rd, 1851. December 3rd, 1851. The Times Picayune, New Orleans, Louisiana newspaper. The Vagrant Child, Sarah Robinson. Sarah Robinson, a little Negro girl, or properly a little American Indian girl, was last evening arrested in the second municipality on the charges of being a juvenile delinquent. The officer who made the arrest stated that the girl was frequently found sleeping in the street at a late hour of the night. The accused was detained until her parents could be heard from. So again, things that weren't arrest worthy before the foreigners got here were now arrest worthy. The whole thing is because they saying she a juvenile delinquent and was frequently found sleeping in the street, or properly sleeping on earth, right? She's sleeping on earth. She's sleeping on earth. So they had to call her parents, man. They had to call her parents. See, because the little Indian girl was used to sleeping wherever she wanted to sleep. The Roanoke Times, Roanoke, Virginia, Tuesday, February 8th, 1898. Tuesday, February 8th, 1898. The Roanoke Times, Roanoke, Virginia. Behind the bars again. Pearl Scott. I got a family member's name, Pearl. Pearl Scott, the little Negro girl who has been arrested so many times for petty larceny, is again behind the bar of the police station charged with the larceny of a gold watch. A little shouty, little sister, American Indian girl, charged with the larceny of a gold watch. She was only released from the police station last Thursday, and on Saturday afternoon, she stole a $40 gold watch from Miss Minnie Molly. From Miss Minnie Millie, or Minnie Molly, who lives at 515 Dale Avenue. Yesterday afternoon, Officer Griffin arrested Pearl and locked her up, and she told him that she had sold a watch to a man named Bradley, who keeps a wagon lot on Jefferson Street for 15 cents. See, since the end of slavery, people, could it be certain people couldn't get work? They ain't had no paper coming in. Or they just They saw you had something and they wanted it. The watch was recovered last night about 7 o'clock. The authorities are going to have Pearl indicted by the grand jury and send her to the penitentiary, as she is a public nuisance. Pearl Scott, the little Negro girl, the little American engine. A little girl, they talking about indicting her because she a public nuisance. Again, people come to your house across this big body of water. They come to your house. And after they've been here for, now, don't get me wrong. Okay, let me correct myself. They didn't tell us if these people was foreigners. They didn't tell us, stole a $40 gold watch from Miss Minnie Molly or whatever. I have relatives who was named Minnie, who was named Molly. So I don't know if these is foreigners. We don't know if Officer Griffin is a foreigner. We don't know. But one thing I do know is that it's a police station in place. I don't know when that came about. Y'all, can you tell me when the police station became a thing? I don't know. I automatically think police foreigner. You know what I mean? Or other things, Masonic, all that type of thing. But she say she sold a watch to a man named Bradley. They say they sending her to prison because she a public nuisance. A $40 watch because she stole. She's a shouty. Y'all pray for Pearl. The Atlanta Constitution, Atlanta, Georgia. Sunday, August 15th, 1897. The Atlanta Constitution, Atlanta, Georgia. Sunday, August 15th, 1897. White girls in a Negro home. White girls in a Negro home. Startling discovery made by Conyers authorities yesterday. Mother's queer conduct. Do you know what queer means? No, not the rainbow. We're talking about strange. Queer means strange. Allowed a Negro woman to take her little girls away. You see, you hear the propaganda. You had a propaganda do. You hear the course. You hear how the propaganda confuses you. White girls in a Negro home. White girls in a Negro home. They're in the home, which means somebody brought them there, which means they had permission to be there. So far, startling discovery made by Conyers authorities yesterday. Mother's queer conduct. So they're saying the mother allowing the white girls to be in a Negro home was strange conduct. Allowed a Negro woman to take her little girls away. Take them away. See, let's just read the words. Take them away. That don't mean kidnap them. It just means take them away from where they are or where they were to somewhere else. They lived with desperate Negroes or desperate Indians. Girls are sent back. Mrs. Langdon says she is not familiar with Southern customs. 3 pretty little girls made a most eventful trip to Conyers, and they became the center of a lively sensation before they had been away from Atlanta. many hours, a sensation that stirred up all Conyers with indignation and created quite a scene in Atlanta. The three little girls lived at number 54 North Forsyth Street with their mother, Miss Hattie Langdon. There's Hattie again. The three little girls, they said these three little girls were white girls, right? Let's go back. White girls in a Negro home. The white girl's mother name is Hattie Langdon, from whom they evidently inherited their good looks. So they saying they saying she was cute. Mrs. Langdon came from the North only a few months ago, and she contends that she is not familiar with the customs of the Southern people. And this alleged unfamiliarity on her part is the cause of the three pretty little girls having had such a wonderful trip to Conyers. Mrs. Langdon's husband is living in New York, and it is not exactly known why she is not with him or he with her. It ain't your business. But they do not now reside together, and she has been keeping a boarding house on Forsyth Street since last January. The northern lady hired a Negro woman, or properly an American Indian woman, to whom she became greatly attached, because there is no such thing as a Negro. Okay, let's just get that together, man. We understand who they talking about when they say Negro in the context of Atlanta, Georgia in 18 whatever it said above. Okay, we understand that, man. Let's listen. We passed that now. We're not going to just fall for the okie doke. The northern lady hired a Negro woman, or properly an American Indian woman, to whom she became greatly attached. They became fast friends. That's not what they say, but they became greatly attached. They became homegirls. A few days ago, the woman left her employ and went to Conyers. She asked the woman, the American woman, left her employ. She left her job and went to Conyers. She asked that the little girls be allowed to go with her on a visit, and Miss Langdon consented against the advice of her acquaintances. Well, who are her acquaintances? Because she said the Negro woman, or the American Indian woman, they became fast friends and they became greatly attached. So this is her acquaintance, right? Visit, and Mrs. Langdon consented that the little girls be able to go with the sister to Conyers. Yesterday, the people of Conyers discovered that the children were living with the Negro woman, or I'm sorry, the American Indian woman, and they at first thought that the little girls were stolen. And the wires were kept hot with messages to the police barracks. So it was people minding their business, all in the Kool-Aid, didn't know the flavor. And they was calling the police. They was calling them people on her. They thought she kidnapped the little girls. They thought she wanted to be a mother so bad. Because obviously she wanted to be a mother so bad, so she went and stole three little girls. The news, as it came from Conyers, said the people were indignant when they learned that the children were there at the instigation of their mother. The Negro woman, or American Indian woman, said she had been given the little girls to keep for a month. She had them in a disreputable portion of the town and in a house that was anything but clean. The marshal of Conyers finally reached Miss Langdon by telephone, and he told her that she must send for the children at once. She replied that she could not take them until Tuesday. She told, man, I sent them with her for a reason. What don't you understand? Why is you in our business? Why is this your business? What is the problem? The Marshal of Conyers finally reached Miss Langdon. Miss Langdon, who is an adult, who is the mother of the children, by telephone, and he told her that she must send for the children at once. She replied that she could not take them until Tuesday. The marshal, E.A. Harper, would listen to no such postponement and stated to her very plainly that if she did not send after the girls, he would take them forcibly from the sister. There the matter ended for a while, until last night Marshal Harper of Conyers arrived in the city with the little girls. He at first intended to carry them to the home for the friendless, but Mrs. Langdon was informed that they were in the city and she had them carried to her home. When the three little girls arrived in Atlanta, they were barefooted and they looked anything but tidy and neat. The Negro woman, the American Indian woman, evidently had not been taking very good care of them. She ain't been taking care of them because they was barefoot and they was probably playing somewhere, like children do. After reaching the city, Marshal Harper of Conyers reported at the police barracks and said that he had given the children to their mother. He said that the people in his town were outraged at the children being allowed to live with a Negro woman and in such a locality. How dare they put her with them children with that American Indian woman? You know she live in the hood, in the rural hood, that is. The citizens were certain the girls had been stolen, for they could not believe that any parent would permit such a thing. When they learned the truth, then they became still more indignant, and it was decided to take the children from the Negro and bring them to Atlanta. Last night, a reporter of the Constitution called to see Mrs. Langdon. The reporter explained his mission, and Mrs. Langdon threw her hands up in horror at the thought of the affair being made public. "Come into the parlor and let me tell you about it," she said, leading the way into the sitting room. "Now," she continued, "I know I made a mistake and I am awful sorry about it." Oh shit, she biting now, man. Now she biting. "You see, I am just from the north. I am just from the north. And I did not know the affair would be regarded down here. The woman is a most excellent servant, and I had every confidence in her. I could not get her to remain longer with me, and she left and went to Conyers. She begged me so hard to let the children spend a few days with her that I consented. The children wanted to go, and I thought a few days in the country would do them good, sir." Several of Mrs. Langdon's neighbors say they begged her and pleaded with her not to let the Negro woman or the American Indian woman take the children away. One of her near lady neighbors stated to the reporter that she had done everything she could to keep the children in Atlanta. To the Constitution reporter, Marshal Harper told a lively story about the way in which the children had been treated. And from what he says, it is no wonder the people of Conyers were indignant. The house those children lived in, said Harper, was a small 2 or 3 room affair. And in it slept 5 Negroes. Among them was a Negro man, an ex-convict, and a very bad character. Now, if y'all know what a ex-convict is, then we should go back to the articles that I've read before this one, where the little Negro girls were being arrested. So they were convicts as well, remember? So we're talking about 3 little white girls Earlier we were talking about various little Negro girls, or properly American Indian girls, some 8 years old, right? Right. So we know and then the runaways. We talked about the runaway, the first article, which they showed us who they were talking about. They keep calling these people Negroes when they actually know that these people are American Indians. I don't even want to talk about these people being here is a crime in itself. The house those children, this is the Marshall. The house those children lived in, said Harper, I'm gonna read it how it's written, was a small 2 or 3 room affair. It was a small 2 or 3 room affair, a small 2 or 3 bedroom. Oh, he's from Harvard. Come on, man, what's wrong with a 2 or 3 bedroom? And in it slept 5 Negroes. Among them was a Negro man, an ex-convict and a very bad character, he having served a sentence in the chain gang. Last night, the oldest little girl slept with a Negro girl about her own age. The fact that the children who were plainly of respectable parentage were sleeping in a house with Negro men. Wait, wait. With Negro men and one a convict fairly made the blood of the good people of my town boil. Let's go back. The house those children lived in, said Harper, was a small 2 or 3 bedroom affair, and in it slept 5 Negroes in the house. It was a 3 bedroom house. 5 Negroes were there. I wonder if this includes the sister who brought the 3 little girls there. Okay, 3 bedrooms, 5 Negroes. Among them was a Negro man, an ex-convict, and a very bad character. Okay. He having served a sentence in the chain gang. So he was a man. So he was a Negro man, an American Indian man. Last night, the oldest little girl slept with a Negro girl, American Indian girl about her own age. Okay. The fact that the children who were plainly of respectable parentage were sleeping in a house with Negro men and one a convict fairly made the blood of the good people of my town boil. So they had a problem with the little girls being in the house with males. American Indian males. And that was not all. The children were not half fed and they weren't half fed, but yet their mother let them go with this woman. Mind you, the woman took care of them all. The sister took care of the 3 little girls and their mother. So much so that her and the mother was homegirls now. But when you heard the mother speaking to the reporter earlier, biting, pleading her case, embarrassed. And that was not all. The children were not half fed and went about the neighbors begging for something to eat. They went about the neighbors begging for something to eat. Yesterday, the youngest child called at the residence of Mr. Braswell and asked for something to eat. The woman's name is Julia Means. I went to her house this afternoon and took the children. She was highly incensed and followed me to the train, vowing that she would soon have the little girls back with her. So the sister name was Julia Means. And the marshal went to her house and took the children. She was highly incensed and followed me to the train, vowing that she would soon have the little girls back with her. When I arrived in Atlanta, I started with the children to the police barracks. When I met Mrs. Langdon on the street with a gentleman, she saw the children and exclaimed, for God's sake, not to take them to the police station. I turned them over to her and saw that she took them home. The little girls, when they reached home, did not appear to care anything about the experience they had had. One of them is about 4 years of age, one 7, and one about 9. They are very pretty and attractive. So the marshal is saying that the little girls, one of them is about 4, one 7, and one about 9. He says they are very pretty and attractive. This is an adult man saying that a 4-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 9-year-old are attractive. Not the words that many of us would have used. And this is the one that's taking them from their guardian. The neighborhood in which Mrs. Langdon lives was greatly stirred up last night, and the matter was the talk among the ladies as they sat up on their front verandas. There may be some other developments in the affair before it is over with. The Norfolk Virginia, Friday, June 18th, 1869. The Norfolk Virginia newspaper, Friday night, June 18th, 1869. Charles Roy, a little Negro boy arrested by Officer Howe, or properly a little American Indian boy arrested by Officer Howe of the Harbor Police for vagrancy, was committed until he could be sent home to Hampton, Virginia. The Louisville Daily Courier, Louisville, Kentucky, Friday, August 2nd, 1867. Ike Maxwell, the little Negro boy, the little American Indian boy, arrested for stabbing another Negro boy named Henry Lindsay with intent to kill, was held in $300 bond to answer the court then adjourned. The Atlanta Journal, Atlanta, Georgia, Friday, February 17th, 1893. February 17th, 1893, another Friday. The Atlanta Journal, Atlanta, Georgia, 1893. A youthful wrecker. An attempt to wreck a train by a little Negro boy or a little American boy arrested. An attempt to wreck a train by a little Negro boy arrested yesterday afternoon. Sonny Bird, a 12-year-old Negro boy, a 12-year-old American Indian boy, made a deliberate attempt to wreck an East Tennessee Railroad train at the Magnolia Street trestle. He placed spikes in a rail joint over the trestle. They were found there by Mr. J.W. Smith, an employee of the railroad. Mr. Smith investigated the matter and found that Sonny Bird had placed the spikes there. Patrolman Cochran deputized Mr. Smith to arrest the boy. Citizen's arrest. Mr. Smith caught him and had started toward the station house with him when two Negroes assaulted him and released the boy. Okay. Police Patrolman Cochran deputized Mr. Smith. So he told Mr. Smith, arrest the boy. Mr. Smith caught him and had started toward the station house, was trying to take him to the station house when two American Indians assaulted him and released the boy. Man, what you doing? Where you taking Shorty? You ain't taking Shorty nowhere. Let him go. Mr. Smith reported the entire matter at police headquarters. Sonny Bird was arrested and locked up, and the police are after the Negroes or Americans who assaulted Mr. Smith. Bird will be given a preliminary hearing today. The Norfolk, Virginia, Friday, January 8th, 1869. Norfolk, Virginian, Norfolk, Virginia, Norfolk, Friday, January 8th, 1869. Leroy Farabee. It says a raggedy little Negro. They say a ragged, but a raggedy little Negro. Leroy Farabee, a raggedy little American Indian boy arrested by Mr. Tabb on a charge of stealing, was committed to jail for 5 days for further examination. Albert Sandlin, another grinning little Negro, another grinning little American, arrested by officers Merchant and Crosby on the same charge, was also sent on for further hearing. It say another grinning little Negro. You know, them people don't like grinning. Not grinning. They don't like grinning. They really don't. They like you to be struggling. The Macon Telegraph, Macon, Georgia, Saturday, March 31st, 1883. The Macon Telegraph newspaper, Macon, Georgia, Saturday, March 31st, 1883. Tom Pye, the little Negro boy arrested, the little American Indian boy arrested for shooting Willie Clark, was released yesterday, Mr. Clark refusing to prosecute him. He wants street justice. Mr. Clark wants street justice. Or he just said, shorty, you know, he ain't know what he was doing, you know. He got caught up in his emotions. El Paso Times, El Paso, Texas, Tuesday, December 13th, 1898. Tuesday, December 13th, 1898, El Paso Times newspaper, El Paso, Texas. Officer Winkler found a Mexican woman drunk in the gutter near the S&P Depot. She was accompanied by a little Negro boy or a little American Indian boy that she claimed to be the mother of. He was dark skinned, she was light skinned, couldn't be his mama. Or Officer Winkler don't really know who the real people who from that place that we term as Mexico. They don't know the real people from that place, that soil portion that we term, that everybody term as Mexico today. They don't know how the real people of that place look. That's why he said that. Officer Winkler found a Mexican woman drunk in the gutter near S&P Depot. She was accompanied by a little Negro boy or a little American Indian boy. And see, the woman, a Mexican woman drunk, was his mother. She was probably an Indian too, from that place that we term as Mexico today, that she claimed to be the mother of. She was so drunk that she had to be taken to jail in a hack. For some unknown reason, her name was not entered upon the register, and she was turned loose without a trial. Yeah, we know why her name wasn't you, because you would have gave us too much. Would have gave us too much information in that name. Too much information in that name. Man, I wish they could have gave us her name. Why couldn't they put her name in the register? Why couldn't they slip? Oh, the people who arrested her probably couldn't write. The Charleston Mercury, Charleston, South Carolina newspaper, Tuesday, April 2nd, 1867. The Charleston Mercury, Charleston, South Carolina, Tuesday, April 2nd, 1867. Just remember, we ain't gonna settle for nothing but all the way. We ain't settling for nothing but all the way. Throwing bricks at the streetcars. Yesterday evening, about dark, a little Negro boy or a little American Indian boy was arrested for throwing bricks at the streetcars. He was lodged in the guardhouse and will be sent before the provost marshal this morning. St. Louis Post-Dispatch, St. Louis, Missouri newspaper, Monday, May 17th, 1880. 1880, Monday, May 17th, 1880. St. Louis Post-Dispatch, St. Louis, Missouri newspaper, William Scott, alias Henry Shields, a little Negro boy, a little American boy, arrested yesterday at the request of M. Brock for attempting to pass a counterfeit $50, was released this morning on a promise to show the police the man from whom he received it. Good luck with that. The Journal and Tribune, Knoxville, Tennessee, Friday, June 28th, 1895. The Journal and Tribune newspaper, Knoxville, Tennessee. The identity of George Wilson, the little Negro boy arrested by Lieutenant Hood. The little American boy arrested by Lieutenant Hood night before last while trying to sell a patent lubricator. A patent lubricator was revealed yesterday. The identity of George Wilson, the little Negro boy, the little American Indian boy, arrested by Lieutenant Hood night before last. The little boy was trying to sell a patent lubricator. His real name is John Griffith, and he belonged in the workhouse, having a month yet to serve, a month yet on his application to serve. The lubricator was stolen from the workhouse engine. He was sent back. He was sent back to finish out his contract, his application for employment. See, you can quit. You can quit your job today, no problem. They can fire you, no problem. It's a little bit different at this particular time. Evansville Courier and Press, Evansville, Indiana, Saturday. See, it's all over we all over this country, man. We all over these countries. You know, the place that we term as the United States, the 50 states. Remove the lines off the map, and what do you have? You got various countries, various places. But we all American Indians. We might speak a little different, but we all understand one another. And apparently, all of the young are being arrested. Evansville Courier and Press, Evansville, Indiana, Saturday, February 1st, 1896. Evansville Courier and Press, Evansville, Indiana, Saturday, February 1st, 1896. We ain't got out the 1800s right now. You notice that? You notice that? The 1800s, you know, the the century of the famed Emancipation Proclamation and the famed when slavery was abolished era. Eddie Griffin, the little Negro boy, Eddie Griffin, the little American Indian boy, arrested Thursday night for stealing a knife, was arraigned before Judge Butterfield yesterday morning. The judge ordered the lad kept in close confinement for a while, after which he would probably be released with a reprimand. The proper disposition of young Griffin seems to puzzle the judge. The proper disposition of young Griffin seems to puzzle the judge. The boy must be laid back, represent himself well, a stand-up low. Oh, you understand? It says the judge ordered the lad kept. They called him a lad. The judge ordered the lad kept in close confinement for a while, after which he will probably be released with a reprimand. The proper disposition of young Griffin seems to puzzle the judge. I'm not used to a little American engine being this being this kind to me, being this cooperative. Or the judge, the judge could have been purely going off of Shorty facial expressions or his features or his facial features or anything like that. Never can tell with these folks. The Norfolk, Virginia, Thursday, August 31st, 1871. The Norfolk, Virginia, Thursday, August 13, 1871. It just amused me to say it like that. A little Negro boy, a little American Indian boy, was arrested yesterday morning for fighting and was locked up in the watch house. Towards evening, he became hungry and startled the neighborhood with his repeated cries of, "Oh, Lordy, I want something to eat so bad. Oh, Lordy. Oh, Lord, I want something to eat so bad." That's what he said. That's what they said. He said, the Indianapolis News, Indianapolis, Indiana, Thursday, April 18th, 1996. The 90s. 1996. Thursday, April 18th. Hear me and hear me well. 1996, Thursday, April 18th. We out of the 1800s. We well into the 1900s. Almost to the year 2000 right here. The Indianapolis News, Indianapolis, Indiana, Thursday, April 18th, 1996. Boy 11 admits selling cocaine to detective. Boy 11 admits selling dope to detective by George McLaren, staff writer. An 11-year-old boy accused of crack dealing. Crack. Dude, this whole crack thing is blowing me. Okay, whoever called it, whoever said crack, when did this whole crack thing come? This is so stupid to me. Come on, man. Y'all know everybody called it rocks. Come on, man. Come on, man. Or doing a dope or something like that. Y'all crack. 11-year-old boy accused of crack dealing has pleaded guilty in an agreement with prosecutors. The boy was arrested last week after selling 2 rocks to an undercover police detective. He pleaded guilty. 11-year-old pleaded guilty. Did he have an attorney? Did he have a pay lawyer? He pleaded guilty to dealing, and a possession charge against him will be dismissed, according to Beverly Phillips, a spokeswoman for the Marion County Prosecutor's Office. The prosecutor's office, Beverly Phillips, a spokeswoman for the Marion County Prosecutor's Office. The prosecutor's office will make no recommendation on sentencing. Because of his age, as far as the sentence is concerned, is up to the judge and probation, Phillips said. There are no hard, fast guidelines for sentencing, unlike a grown-up. Phillips said the boy probably is too young to go to the Indiana Boys School, which has a minimum age of 12. Family problems may complicate a decision on how to sentence him, she added. The boy will be sentenced May 13th in Marion Superior Court, Juvenile Division. He was released on home detention to live with a sister until sentencing. The boy was arrested in the 2300 block of Adams Street after he walked up to a police detective and offered to sell some real straight butter. Police said that is street jargon for coke. After the detective showed the boy cash, the youth spit out a plastic bag containing the drugs and was arrested. The 4 foot the 4 foot tall, 110-pound child cried after learning he had been caught. The policeman called it one of the saddest days of my life. The truth is, this is a sad statement on the community, Philip said. When you have 11-year-olds selling rocks, certainly the prosecutor's office is concerned about it. The prosecutor's office is concerned about it, huh? Yeah, we've heard that before. And I think we've experienced that before, right? Where others are concerned. Who are those others? Do the right thing.